Welcome to Couch Sessions with Sean Fuller, sponsored by Wild Rooster Entertainment and 24-hour banner service. Go to 24hbanner.com for all your banner needs. Die-cast hoops, wood hoops, and triple flanged hoops. All three can change the voice of your drum kit and the look of your drum kit. Today, let's just take a look at all three and see exactly what they do for your drum set and your drum set sound.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Couch Sessions. I'm your host, Sean Fuller, and today we're going to talk about drum rims. There are three specific kinds of drum rims. If you just want to kind of narrow it down to its basic terms, you have triple flanged hoops, you have wood hoops, and then you also have die-cast hoops. I got onto the forum at www.seanfullerrocks.com, and one of the things that I had talked to a couple different people about, and they wanted to know about, was more or less, you know, what the difference were. What do they kind of make your drums look like? What do they really do for the sound of the drum set, or what is the durability, and so on and so forth. So I kind of just pulled three of them together and just kind of thought about what the differences would be, kind of in its basic terms, and kind of give a couple of examples as far as like what they're going to look like, what they're going to do for the drum kit, and go from there. First things first, we're going to talk about triple flanged hoops. Triple flanged hoops are probably one of the most widely used hoop. They've been around for God knows how long, and what you're going to find with triple flanged hoops is they will range from 1.6 millimeter to 2.3 millimeter in its sturdiest form and its densest form. But what you're going to find also is that obviously the lower the line of drum kit, probably the less dense it's going to be. You'll probably get to be towards more like a 1.6 there, and then as you step up in drum lines, as far as going from like maybe a beginner kit to like a more middle line kit or even a pro kit, they're going to give you these really nice, heavy, sturdy duty triple flanged hoops to come along with your kit, unless you special order your kit, or there are even some kits that come with die cast hoops on them, depending upon how you order them. Triple flanged hoops are actually pretty popular from low lines to high end, because they're also probably the least expensive as well. They're very durable, they're very versatile, and tuning is a lot easier with a triple flanged hoop than it is a die cast hoop, or even kind of a wood hoop if you think about that. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Depending on the weight of the hoop, you're going to find that its durability is going to be kind of contingent upon that. Once you get something that's in a higher end, these rims aren't going to necessarily break. Some of them will bend over time depending upon how you tune, or if you crank it or anything like that, or one is seated lower than the other, and then of course you're also probably going to mess with your bearing edges and so on and so forth. As far as tuning is concerned, the one thing that I have found about triple flanged hoops is that when you tune, obviously you do the star pattern kind of deal when you're tuning. And what I've kind of found out just by going around a drum kit or drum itself and tapping around it, is that you will find that like if you have a few that are high pitched, the one that's the lowest, like say if it's this one right here, if you go directly across from that one's going to be about the same pitch, if not maybe even a little lower. I'm not really for sure of the reason why, other than that these, a triple flange hoop is going to, it's going to kind of, bend around a little bit, contingent upon how hard you crank it. Mostly on snare drums will it do that. Toms, probably not so much, but you're still going to notice a difference one across from the other when you're tuning. You'll probably hear, I don't know, about 20% probably about 20% difference sound-wise whenever you're talking about a 1.6 millimeter to a 2.3 millimeter in like tonality. You know, again, if you tune lower, you're probably not going to notice it at all. If you tune a little higher, you're going to notice about 20% difference in tonality, probably around the higher pitched end for like the 1.6 millimeter, a little bit towards the lower end on the 2.3 millimeter. But that is a triple flanged hoop. And again, probably the most widely used. You'll see it in a lot of rock drummers, a lot of country drummers, a lot of even hard rock drummers will use the triple flanged hoop. Again, durability is the key. You will also notice with a triple flanged hoop on a snare drum. We'll take this snare drum for example. On a triple flanged hoop, this is a die cast on it right now, but on a triple flanged hoop, what I have noticed, especially with drummers like myself who hit rim and drum at the same time, like you know, a lot of rim, a lot of drum at the same time, you're going to notice that a lot of drummers will use lug locks. Lug locks basically are little plastic pieces that slip onto your lugs and basically keep the tension rod from turning. The reason why, a lot of times with a triple flange hoop, it's going to give quite a bit on a drum, especially if you hit hard or if you use a lot of rim like I do. So you'll see a lot of drummers that use that on these lug locks around their lugs just to basically kind of keep it from detuning. And even with that, I have noticed, I've tried that before when I use triple flange hoops, and they still kind of detune a little bit, to be honest with you, because the head is stretching as well. Tonality wise, with a triple flanged hoop, you're going to probably hear a little bit more open end on a drum. Like it's not going to choke the drum very much at all. It's going to keep it kind of open. And again, a lot of that also is contingent upon the drum itself, what it's made out of. If it's maple, if it's birch, blah blah blah. If it's a fiberglass shell, if it's a metal drum, that kind of deal. And it's also going to be contingent upon the drum head itself. You know, if you're using a single ply coated head or a clear head or a 2-ply coated head or a you know what I'm saying? The list goes on and on. A lot of the tonality differences are going to be contingent on just a lot of things. So in the grand scheme of it, is the rim going to make a huge difference in the tone? No, probably not. Let's go on to die cast hoops. This is a die cast hoop. They're a lot heavier than a triple flange hoop. The good thing about die cast hoops is that, like on a snare drum especially, not so much the toms, well actually, I guess on the toms it's about the same, but like on a snare drum, I've noticed, again, using a lot of rim, hitting the drum at the same time, I've never really had to use lug locks on these things. The reason why is it's so rigid, it's so tough, like it barely moves at all. Now that being said, on toms, not so much a snare drum. A snare drum you can maneuver a bit and make it sound really good fairly easily. But on toms with die cast hoops, you're going to notice that it's a little tougher to tune, because when you tune one side, the whole thing kind of pulls down a little bit more. It's not so much like it's going to pull, you know, just this one down, and it's going to give a little bit like a triple flange hoop. This whole thing is going to kind of maneuver, so it's a little bit tougher to get a great to get that tuning that you're looking for. That's not to say that it's bad. You can actually do really well with die cast hoops, and I actually really love the way they look, and they're very sturdy, they're very durable. But you know, again, you'll have to maneuver with it tuning wise a little bit to get that perfect sound, but it could be worth it to you. It just depends on, you know, how you feel as a drummer, you know, for the durability and the stability of a die cast hoop. I dig them. I love using the die cast hoops on a snare drum, just because, again, that durability of it, you know, and not having to worry about retuning the drum kit after a song, you know, during a set. Like the last thing you want to do is have to sit there and go, oh gosh, it loosened up, I can hear it, so now I got to tune it again. I've never really had to do that with a die cast hoop. I've absolutely enjoyed playing with one, just from the simple fact that, for me, like in an arena setting or even in a club setting or whatever, I like to go from song to song to song without hardly any kind of, you know, dead air in between or anything like that. So I actually love the fact that I don't have to worry about tuning in the midst of a song or at the end of a song or whatever. I've done plenty of fly dates where whatever is brought to you as far as the drum kit that you are playing, and they've had triple flanged hoops on it, and then you got to fight it a little bit here and there. Sometimes it's not so bad. Sometimes it can be just a pain in the butt. But as far as like for a snare drum, again, depending upon your flavor, what you're doing, you know, I highly recommend the die-cast hoops just specifically for the durability purposes of it, and the tuning of it, as far as like, you know, again, not having to after you've played a song having to retune and whatnot. I've always felt like it's always, you know, kept its tuning fairly stable.
Stay tuned for part 2 of Above the Rim.